Chronic spontaneous urticaria, or chronic hives with no known cause. It's so unpredictable. It's like playing pinball. Itchy red bumps start on my arm, then my back, sometimes my legs. Hives come out of nowhere, and it comes and goes. But I just found out about a treatment option at treatmyhives.com. Take that, chronic hives. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary listeners, heroes and heroines, crooks and crookians, Billy Joel. The audio performance you are about to enjoy discusses casinos and gambling. We do not recommend gambling with money you cannot afford to lose or that is needed to pay bills. If you have a gambling problem, contact your problem gambling hotline. If you do not know how to contact your problem gambling hotline, send an email to help@casinocombat.com. We will find that number for you and provide it to you. Our host's past performances are not indicative of anyone's future results, including his own. All materials presented here are based on actual facts. Names and dates are changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. Some events, unrelated outcomes, may be omitted in the interest of brevity and clarity. The contents, spelled with a K, of this episode are the property of Volcanic Dingo, LLC. All rights reserved. It's me, it's TRG, the Ramblin Gambler. I am just trying to make a living and doing the best I can.
Lyrics, dude. Recite him some lyrics.
You don't have to try too hard. I don't need a song and dance. I don't need an invitation if you've got a game of chance. That is true, provided the game of chance has a low house advantage and reasonable table limits. If it does, I'll be happy to sit down and have a go. That's what we're all about here at Casino Combat. Low house advantage wagers that lead to a monthly profit after expenses as often as possible and generate regular and ongoing comped travel opportunities to live a casino-enhanced lifestyle. Welcome to episode 144 of our Casino Combat podcast. I am so glad you are here. If you are already a squad member, thank you very much for coming back. If you are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for the gift of your time. I am very honestly and truly grateful that you took time to join us today. I believe there are some things people believe are impossible that are possible. In fact, the belief that they are possible is in the first step to accomplishing those impossible things. I was stupid, naive. Yeah, let's go with naive. I was naive enough in my youth to decide that I could do the impossible, that I could beat the game of casino gambling. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. I put a ton of time and effort into chasing that squirrel, chasing that rabbit down the rabbit hole, searching for the holy grail, the way to beat the game of casino gambling. And I accomplished it. And then there was a pandemic, and I was bored. So I decided to teach the world if they were willing and wanted to learn. And the rewards have been immense beyond my wildest imagination for deciding to teach what I had learned. I've met amazing people and been amazing places. If you are new, if this is your first time, if you decide to stick around, if you decide to be part of our squad, if you have the discipline and focus to do the things we talk about here, you can win the game of casino gambling. You can, and you don't have to trust me. You can trust Nakatomi Tony, you can trust Equine Ensign, you can trust all the characters that roam through the Casino Combat galaxy. You really can. You can join us and meet amazing people. Some of us are those amazing people. You can meet us, you can see amazing places, and the casino will pay you to do that. They will. We will talk about it in just a minute. We will be happy to help you do that. Stick around, be part of the squad. I got just two more things for those who are new, and then we will get started with this episode of our Casino Combat podcast. For those that are new, 2 rules for the newest era of our podcast. Rule 1, if it doesn't hurt another player in a casino, do whatever you want to do, whatever makes sense to you. Rule 2, the most important rule. This material is too big. The Casino Combat Galaxy, spinning through the TRG-verse, as SameBet has been known to call it, is just too big. The arsenal of techniques is too big. I'm not going to be able to explain everything every time. So, the most important rule, if you don't know, ask. It's just that simple. If I say TRG4 or 363 Rapier TRG2 or Dr. ECE's Bubble Craps Ambush, and you don't know what that is, ask. Ask Google. Google probably knows at this point. We are everywhere. Or ask in the Casino Combat Squad Facebook group. Or ask. Just email trg@casinocombat.com. Spell combat with a K. Send that email to me. I will make sure you know what is what. I will make sure you get directed to the materials that answer your question, wherever that might be. Whatever question you have, I most likely have the answer. And if I don't know, I know who to ask. We will do the battle plan for the episode in just a minute, but we have a bunch of stuff going on in the Casino Combat Galaxy. We have so much stuff going on in the Casino Combat Galaxy. First up, very important, we have another Aussie member of the Excelsior Brigade. Our newest addition is Mide, and that is spelled M-Y-D, Mide Knight Rider, who found us while looking for roulette content. It really is a very small world. Welcome, Mide Knight Rider. I guess we will use MNR for short? Let's go with that for now. We'll see. I have really enjoyed the emails and the conversations that I have had with our newest member of the Excelsior Brigade. He certainly has created the most content and creative content accurate applications anyone has made to the Excelsior Brigade in a long time. Thank you so much, MNR, for making the effort to join the brigade. I always feel like it has to be tougher to sort out North American locations from down under. Maybe not. I'd have no way of knowing, but from my distance, it seems like it would be tougher from there to figure out where things are here. Well done, and welcome once again to the Excelsior Brigade. Normally, that would be the biggest news from the Casino Combat Galaxy, but it's not. It isn't. I have 3 more. I have 4. Look, I have a bunch more, and each is somewhat bigger than the last. Wow, this is just so much. It really is. I got to tell you, we have so much going on. My head is about to explode. I have said to both Mrs. TRG and to Nakatomi Tony a couple of times lately that it's just a lot. Like so much. It's like, I'm okay. I've got this. I've got the voices in my head to talk to me to understand. It's a lot. Big things are happening for us as a squad. So many. All right. Sorry. I was starting to spin there for a minute. And then by coincidence, Nakatomi Tony it just came up on my phone that's sitting here. Nakatomi Tony just sent me a whale GIF, a GIF. I don't know, and we don't have time to debate that. Let's call it a whale meme. Let's go with that one. Spin avoided. Thank you, NT. That really helped. Let's do these big things one at a time in order. There are 4. I did just think of one more, and that one more has a story. This one's going to go long. First, this is the least of the big things. It is. You may have noticed the disclaimer change. Several of the things we have going on required real world things, not virtual things, not Casino Combat Galaxy things, real Galaxy things. Things like bank accounts and an employee identification number. And the name Casino Combat, or our Casino Combat podcast, creates too many red flags in the real world. No one would do business with that company. No one wants to do business with anything that has that name. Put casino in it and you can't bank, you can't work with the government, you can't use a free email service, you can't do anything. It was impossible. Here's the story. The weekend that 454 Rapier was invented, I was with my grandson, the little lion, and he wanted to play Paw Patrol all weekend, which meant he wanted to tell me which pup to be, what to say, and where to run with him. Fun at first, great fun, but it got tough to remember that I'm Chase, and
Chase is on the case.
I mean, let's be honest, it's really not that hard to remember, but over an entire weekend, it got really repetitive. It really did. And so he would say, Papa, let's play Paw Patrol. Which pup do you want to be? And I'd say, the fire dingo. And he would say, no, Papa, there isn't a fire dingo. You be Rubble. And I said, I don't want to be Rubble. I want to be the fire dingo. And eventually I'd tease, and he'd get a bit annoyed, and I'd be Rubble. Fast forward, and when I needed to find a company name that would be interesting, but nondescript, nonsensical even, something that wouldn't raise an eyebrow by anyone, I decided nothing about Volcanic Dingo LLC sounded like something anywhere near gambling. When people ask, or when we file papers, I just say Volcanic Dingo LLC is a media company. It produces online content and merchandise associated with the content. Problem solved. So that's why some of what you hear is going to be the property of Volcanic Dingo LLC. Nobody has problems doing business with that, and they think the story about my grandson is adorable. As I said, problem solved. Second big, huge news. We have a permanent store up and running with casino combat gear. Go to our website, casinocombat.com, click on the gear tab, and there you go. You will be there. I've kept the prices as low as the fulfillment company will allow me to keep them. As a squad, you have shown you want to have gear to wear, and I just want that to be available. I am not worried about making a profit. I don't have an additional cost to run the store. Yes, I am going to make $1, maybe $2 on an item here and there because that's the way the fulfillment company wants things to be priced. The Mad Scientist did some new art for this project, including a really cool yin-yang design that I really like, some really neat stuff, some really cool stuff. We have some new rapier logos that are very, very cool. The biggest thing here is that if you look on the store and you don't find what you want, maybe, I don't know, what would be a good example? Maybe AC is thinking, I really want the women's fleece vest, but I want the R Squad logo, not the Yin Yang logo, and I want Atlantic City Empress added to the art. Or Equine Ensign is thinking, I like the 454 rapier hat in white, but on the side, I want Equine Ensign, not Casino Combat. Anything custom like that? Anything you would like that you don't see? You really want the big tumbler, and I didn't make a big tumbler. Something like that. Just let me know. The great thing about how the store is put together is that I can put logos and custom embroidery on almost anything, any way you would like. We went through this the last time. Somebody said when we did the 454 Rapier pop-up merch store, they were like, I really like that, but I really want it on a hoodie, but I don't want the hoodie to have a hood. I just really want a sweatshirt. That's it, TRG. I want a sweatshirt. Boom, done. Made the sweatshirt the way they wanted it. I'm happy to do that for anyone and set up anything any way you would like. We've even talked in the Slack virtual VIP lounge about doing a no 6 to 5 shirt. Some people think that'll be fun. I'll get that up there on the site as soon as we get that design done. If you want squad gear, if you want to rep the squad when you are out and about, when you are casinoing, go check it out. Go check out the new store. Got a lot of neat stuff there. If I wasn't getting ready to walk out the door for a cruise, I'd have had multiple boxes to deliver to my house by now. I have so much of it is so really, really cool, and that's because the Mad Scientist did some great designs for this. Third on our list of big news, it just keeps getting bigger. We are having the first official squad event the weekend of February, take 2. The weekend of February 28th. That is, so Friday the 28th, March the 1st, March the 2nd. I know some people will come out a day before. I know some people will maybe stay a day longer. Not sure exactly my schedule, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I will be there. A peek behind the curtain. Boy, I'm sharing a bunch here today. My last name is Fosnot. It's a very unusual last name. That's why telling you that, hey, my name is TRG is so much easier than telling you my real name. But Fosnot Day is an official holiday celebrated in many places around the world. It is the Swiss-German version of Mardi Gras. It is the Tuesday before Ash Wednesday in many places, and there are parades and parties, a special donut, Father Winter is burned in effigy, and all that's done before the Lenten fast begins. So as close as we can get to Fosnot Day, that weekend before, we are holding a party at Sunset Station Resort and Casino in Henderson, which is a suburb of Las Vegas. It's about a 15-20 minute car ride at most from the airport. Quick Uber, quick taxi. We initially thought, admittedly, that we were going to use Green Valley Ranch, but Sunset Station has a great private craps table that the craps players absolutely love that we get use of, and the room rates are lower for those who might need to pay for a night And that also means it's much easier for those rooms to be comped, whether that's on the front or on the back, based on play. There's a lower ADT needed to get a comped weekend room there. Premier Casino Hosting is taking care of all of that for us, and you will hear more about that later in this episode. We will have a member of Premier Casino Hosting with us. He will answer some questions about how comps might work for various players at various levels with various experiences. And that leads us to the next really big news, the final big news. News item number 4 before we move on with the episode. We are going to tell you more about PCH's involvement later, as I said. But the biggest news is that I am now a host with Premier Casino Hosting. Eric, Michael, and Don are my bosses. They make the rules, but I can be your host at any of the properties I guess I should say we represent. It's still a new thing. I'm still wrapping my tongue around it a little bit, still wrapping my head around it. You wonder why I'm kind of close to going in a spin. There you go. We represent 200 properties, I'm told, across North America. We have several major cruise lines that we work with. If you already have a relationship with PCH, work with what makes you comfortable, work with what you're used to. But if you don't, if you do not already have a PCH relationship, I would very much like to ask if I could please be your casino host. That means if you want to go play in Atlantic City, I'll get your comps set up. We will check your back-end comps when you are ready to leave. You want to join Mrs. TRG and myself on a cruise? Just email. I'll get it set up. I'm getting ready to cruise with Don and Michael. I'm going to try to get a list of all the properties I represent through them, and we will get that up on the website in the near future, assuming it's okay, and I can make that available to you. As I said, all very new, going into it fast, breaking things. That's the mode that we are in right now. Move fast, break things, get things done, build big relationships. We are going to do all of that. I'm so thrilled and honored that PCH asked me if I'd be interested in working with them and being a host with them. And that's why I'm humbly asking you if I could please be your host. I would love to be your host. And this is huge for me. This is honestly probably my last career. But I want it to be huge for us, for the entire squad. Let's be completely transparent and honest here. Without PCH, I don't have a host anywhere in Atlantic City. No one's offering. Caesars is not assigning me a host. Borgata is not assigning me a host. I don't have hosts in Las Vegas. I don't have hosts on Royal Caribbean. No one with the Seneca tribe wants to be my host, but PCH wanted to be my host. They stepped in and acted as my host, were my host in all those places. They wanted to be my host anywhere I wanted to travel and set up comps in new places based on places I had been. And I want to do that for all of you, for all of us, for everyone that's listening, for everyone that's part of the squad. If I can help, just send an email to trg@casinocombat.com, spell combat with a K. I will get you all set up. So if you think you want to come out to the event, we're going to give you some contact information later for Eric. And if you want to work with Eric, that's great. Just tell Eric that you are calling because you're part of the squad. We'll take care of that on the back. If you want to work with me directly, I'd love to have you work with me directly. Email me. Let me know you want to go to the event. I will get with you. You will get my personal phone number. I will be your casino host for this trip. I will do my best to make sure you have an amazing time and get more than the comps that you deserve. Because that's what Eric and Don and Michael have always done for me. And I've got them backing me up. So we've got them backing us up. All right, well, that was a lot, but I feel a bit more centered having shared all of that with all of you. Every episode, I put together something I call the battle plan, the segments that I'm going to do during the episode. Our battle plan today looks like this. Right after I finish this intro, we are going to share a moment of casino wisdom. I recently found out I was interpreting that's the word I was looking for, interpreting. Sorry for that long pause there while I wrap my head around it. One of our casino wisdoms somewhat differently. So we're going to have some fun finding out that.
Look, I know what I told you to do, but when I told you to do that, I was not exactly right.
I wasn't exactly right. I'm going to tell you about it. That should be a fun moment of Casino Wisdoms segment. Then we're going to do a Core Koncepts segment. to discuss why I played a higher house advantage game than I needed to while in Las Vegas recently. After that, we will have a travel segment, and I'll give you a rundown of the important parts of my recent trip to Las Vegas, and then we will finish up in the virtual VIP lounge with our sips, of course, and we will have an interview with Eric Hazel from Premier Casino Hosting and run down some of the things you might want to know if you are considering joining us in February. But on the off chance that you are thinking, that's not enough, TRG, that's just not enough big news. That's not enough surprises. I want more. I've got more for you. I'm going to hold that till the end of the episode. I am. Why put all the big news at front? I got a little surprise. Well, big surprise. If you're thinking, I'm not really interested in the interview, I'll skip the VIP lounge this episode. Please don't. Please don't. Do it on fast forward. Do it at 5 times speed or whatever. But please stick around. As I said, right at the end of the virtual VIP lounge, I have a surprise, a big surprise, something really cool that we did and recorded that I'm going to tell you about then. Some extra bonus content that you are going to have access to that I can't wait to tell you about. I think you will want to listen. I think you will want to hear about this. So stick around. Big surprise in the virtual VIP lounge after we finish the interview with Eric Hazel of Premier Casino Hosting. All right, there's the big news. There's the battle plan. There we go. Let's get started with a moment of casino wisdom. Casino wisdom number 11 teaches us you can't win the car from the couch. It was a wisdom I learned talking to my youngest son, the young Squire, way back when he was in middle school, and I was getting ready to go out on a Saturday night, and he's, where are you going? I'm like, I'm down at the casino. They're giving away a car tonight. And he's like, well, why are you going? You know you're not going to win. And I said, well, the one thing I know for certain is I'm not going to win the car sitting here on the couch. That's the way casinos work. You have to be in the building, right? You must be present to win. Pretty simple, straightforward stuff. Everybody knows it. I try to use that wisdom to remember it. Casino wisdom 11. Can't win the car from the couch. So when there's a drawing, I gotta be there. So last month, I'm running around like crazy. I'm in and out of my local casino a bunch. I'm off to Vegas. I'm back. I'm running around my local casino. And one of the promotions they were doing during the month was you would get a candy bar. And they would always say, well, check the candy bar. You may have, before you leave, you might have the golden ticket. They didn't want you to take the candy bar, give it to some random stranger, and not open it because every candy bar had a, quote, golden ticket. It's a little piece of cardboard. You'd write your name on it. You'd write your player's card number on it, and you'd drop it in a little spinny drum thing. And then at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever it was, they'd call some names, and they'd give you some free play. I didn't think anything about it. I didn't really win anything. I was only there 2-3 times because I was off running around to Vegas. I didn't have particularly many entries. Not something I was worried about. I was there. I didn't win. Life went on. Life is good. Not a big deal. So as we wrap up the month, I went down to the casino on a Friday and I come home, grab some pizza, and we're watching some Netflix, and my phone goes bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. And I look at it, and it's a message from a host at the local casino, and it says, you won $500. And so I thought it was a mistake. Thought maybe it was a prank, but I was pretty sure it was a mistake. And so I sent her a text back and I said, did you get the wrong person? You were my host like 5-6 years ago, but you're not my host anymore. Did you mean to message somebody else? And she says, no, I just heard your name called and I wanted to make sure you knew you have 7 days to come down and claim your money, and I didn't want you to not know about it. And I said, well, thank you. That's amazing. And I tell my wife, and I say, I got to make a note. Even though she's not my host, she is a host, and after she went out of her way to let me know I had won $500, I really need to make sure I get her a Amazon gift card or a gift card of some type and put it in a thank you card and make sure that I find her. It's like, wow, that's amazing. $500. That's great. And so we're finish up watching whatever it is, Love is Blind, and we switch over to Outer Banks, and bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. My phone starts doing that again. I look down at my phone, and she says, and now you just won $500 in free slot play. And I was like, okay, that's amazing. Wow. How do I go about claiming this? Is this also 7 days? And she explained I should go to the desk and that they would give me a voucher to take to the cage. They'd set everything up. So I go down the next day. I had reasons to go to the casino anyway. A gift doorbell, I think. A video doorbell, Wi-Fi video doorbell. Not a Ring doorbell, but like a Ring doorbell. A knockoff. So I had that to pick up anyway. So I go down and do that. I go to the Players Club desk. Sure enough, they write me out a voucher for $500. There's a sign there by the desk that shows who won the night before. My name is on it. As they write me out a voucher, they tell me the free play is loaded on my card. I go over to the cage, give them the slip. They count out 5 crisp 100. Well, actually, one of them was wrinkled, but I didn't mind. There were 4 crisp $100 bills and one that was kind of wrinkled and old, and I was happy to take all of them. And then I spent $100 of the 500 through Huff and More Puff. And like the 5th spin, I got the bonus wheel and made like $200. So I'm like, cool, I'm in good shape. Usually I'd try to get half. I told you last episode I spun $500 through Mo Mummy and got less than $100. So I'm thrilled that I'm now up at $200. I spun $200 through Little Shop of Horrors. Did just spun $200 through Wonder Woman, Golden Lasso, got to the end, cashed out all the slips, $500 in, I think it was $27. So $1,027 in the time I was in the casino. And that was it. 30-minute drive down, probably a total of 30 minutes in the casino, 30 minutes back home, hour and a half, just over $1,000 in money in my pocket. Good hourly rate, right? We're all happy with that hourly rate. Get $1,000 every hour and 30 minutes. That's pretty good. But obviously I learned. It wasn't a car. Maybe you can win the car from the couch. I still say you can't. But in this case, I did win the cash from the couch. And in this situation, I do not at all having to admit
I was not exactly right.
That's fine. I don't mind. In this one particular instance, I wasn't exactly right. It was certainly fun to find out that, in fact, there are some casino promotions you can win from the couch. It was a wonderful Friday night with my wife and a wonderfully profitable Saturday. Next up, we are going to do a Core Koncepts segment. I have a really interesting observation I think you will like, and I'm going to enjoy sharing it with you.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo. There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do? I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
So let me get something out of the way right from the jump here, right from the start. When we talk about Core Koncepts, we spell concepts with a K at the beginning, not with a C at the beginning. And the funny part to me, now, the humbling part to me, is that this is the first bit of content, and spell that with a K if you'd like, but this is the first bit of content that I ever created. The very first thing I ever did was sit down and try to capture my thoughts, my ideas, my understanding of how the game of casino gambling was beaten. I tried to take the things I knew instinctively, the things I had learned, and I tried to put them down on paper in a way that I could to explain them to someone else. And I remain convinced that you need to know these, you need to understand them, you need to be able to sit down and write them down, although I'll confess I've internalized them so much that I tend to have to pull back up the written copy myself. I've got it out there a whole bunch of places. There's a whole bunch of places you could find this if you wanted to hear me run them down, all of them, explain all of them. However, before we start today's Core Koncepts segment, before we dig into what I want to talk about today, I've been getting to know a member of our squad, have traveled to meet him. He's traveled to meet me. We've spent some time together. He is an older, wiser blackjack player than I am. Maybe not more experienced. Maybe we have a similar amount of experience, but he's experienced the game of casino gambling at levels of play that I could never hope to aspire to. So he's certainly a wise man as it relates to gambling. It's certainly been my privilege to get to know him a little bit. And some of his feedback is that perhaps I spend a little bit too much time talking about casinoing and not enough time repeating what I've told you about the core concepts, about the key wagering systems. He's of the opinion that repetition is important, and I'm of the opinion that listening to listener feedback is important. So before we get into what I want to talk about today, let's take his wise advice. Let's do what he suggested I should do more of, and let me run down the core concepts for you in detail, top to bottom, one at a time, because it is amazing to me how well this stands up, how well these ideas consistently can be applied to advantage. When someone shows me a wagering process, when someone shows me a game they think they can beat, or a wager within a game that they think they can beat, let it ride, right? Dr. ECE, PhD, fourth to the ring, shows me what he's doing with Let It Ride, and I'm kind of checking boxes in my head. And not everything successful is going to check every box, but everything should check at least a few of the boxes or some of the boxes. Anything that checks none of the boxes, I would be of the opinion that that's probably not going to be something that's long-term successful. And then let's note that every opinion has an exception. I'm not sure how many boxes my slot tactics book checks. I'm not sure how many of these boxes would really check if we went back and compared it to that. Beating slot machines consistently is a stupid idea. It's just a stupid idea that I tested at length and the data says it works. So we'll sit that one to the side, and then let's jump into the core concepts as a basis for what I want to talk about today. The first of the core concepts is learn to play one of the 4 casino games with wagers where the house only has a small advantage over the players and a reasonable amount of tier credits are awarded. And that would be blackjack, baccarat, craps, or roulette in that order. Smallest house advantage, as long as it's 3-2 blackjack, smallest house advantage is always going to be blackjack. In fact, if you wanted to slice this a little more finely, we would go blackjack, free bet blackjack. No, actually, let me check myself there. I think we would actually go, and maybe this would be interesting. Maybe I need to do a segment in the future and actually compare all of these. But I think from memory, without jumping on Wizard of Odds to check this out, I think we would say Spanish 21, blackjack, free bet blackjack, blackjack that pays 6-5, baccarat? No, baccarat, then 6-5 blackjack, then craps. Yep, I'm going to need to do the segment. I'll put that right down on the list. Do that segment. Compare all those, make that list. And I was going to say then roulette, and if we're being honest, if roulette is on the list, Let It Ride needs to be on the list as well. Main idea here, despite my ramblings, learn to play a game with a wager where the house only has a very small advantage. I'm looking for 4% or less. And a reasonable amount of tier credits are awarded for making those wagers. Video poker with the right pay table falls in. I got to make the list. I got to make the odds list. We'll do that soon. Promised. That's the first of the core concepts, and I rambled a bit there. I guess that's on brand. Next up, learn a wagering process that includes both progressive and regressive, and I guess I would say with craps, what I like to call retrogressive attributes. And if you have not seen some of my other materials on this, if you've not read some of my other materials on this, heard some of my other materials on this, here's what I'm talking about here. A progressive wager in my brain, a progressive wager in the TRG verse, and I realize that other gamblers use other terminology, and that's because I'm self-taught. I didn't have other gamblers to learn from, so I just captured my own ideas and I put my own words on things. In the TRG verse, a progressive wager is a wager that increases after a win or a series of wins. And different systems might do that different ways. It might be after one win, it might be after 4 wins. And the amount of the increase might also vary from person to person, design to design, template to template, process to process. But a progressive wager is a wager that increases after a win or a series of wins. A regressive wager is a wager that increases after a loss or a series of losses. So a classic martingale is a regressive wagering process, an exclusively regressive wagering process. If you're not familiar, martingale is one of the most basic concepts in wagering, one of the oldest, one of the only ones guaranteed to work, and one of the ones that if you try it, it will basically ruin you. From experience, because if you know about it, the house knows about it. But a truly regressive wagering system with the martingale, because it's very simple. You make a bet, and if you lose, you bet twice as much. And if you lose that, you bet twice as much. And if you lose that, you bet twice as much. And you just keep doing that. And if there's no house advantage, and you have a very large sum of money available to you in relationship to where you started, you will eventually, by default, have to win a hand. And when you do, you will have all your money back, plus the original 1 unit wager profit, as if you had just won one hand. That is a truly regressive only wagering process. And then later on in the course of the podcast timeline, I added the term retrogressive wager because it does apply to craps. I wanted to be consistent with my internal personal thinking. A retrogressive wager is a wager that decreases after a win or a series of wins. Craps is a very classic place to play that, because often for a craps player, you are trying to make some wagers, get your original wagers and a small profit off the table, and then go up from there with, quote, house money. And I did do the air quotes thing with my fingers there, if you are wondering at home. Wagering process, progressive, regressive, and retrogressive attributes. I believe that is essential to winning the game of casino gambling. Have a bankroll of money you can afford to lose that is larger than needed for the game, unit size, and wagering process you intend to use. This goes to the idea that you need to first, learn to play a game with a wager that meets the qualifications we described. You need to learn a way of wagering, or design a way of wagering that includes progressive and regressive attributes, and retrogressive. And now, once you have picked a game, and once you have established your wagering process, now you can do the calculation of what unit size am I going to play. That's somewhat dictated by what the casinos will offer for many of us. But we're going to look at the unit size. We're going to calculate what the wagering process needs. And then we're going to say, do I have a bankroll of money that I can afford to lose, that I don't need to pay my bills, that I can use to go implement this process on that game? If you can't, you need to find a different plan. A different game could be a different wagering process, could be more money. Any of those other things you need to do, because you have to have a bankroll of money that you can afford to lose that is larger than needed for the game, the unit size, and the wagering process you intend to use. And we have seen that bankroll calculation is going to be different. If you are going to play a $25 blackjack game, and you are going to use TRG2, always be grind in, well, your table buy-in is going to be 10 units. So if it's a $25 game, it's a $250 buy-in. And I always suggest that you be able to buy in at least 3 times. There, we've calculated the bankroll, $750. However, if you're going to play a $454 rapier buy-in and wagering process, and you're going to use TRG to always be grinding with a 454 rapier at a $25 unit size, your table buy-in is $750. And again, I would strongly recommend having a minimum of 3 buy-ins available. So we're up over $2,100 somewhere. You can do the math. The bankroll size needed is dependent on the unit size and the wagering process and the game that you're going to play. If you're going to play Baccarat with all the same parameters I just laid out, you need a smaller bankroll because you're never concerned about toward the end of the process needing to split and then split again and then double. That's a feature of blackjack that I think is useful, but it does play into the bankroll calculation compared to Baccarat. The next core concept: get, have, and use a player's card at every casino where you play. And look for ways to upgrade that card by way of tier matches with reward systems for other casinos, hotel chains, and cruise lines. This one's very simple, but it's also very essential to our success, as we will see in just a minute. Have the discipline to win a set small amount of money and leave, or lose a small set amount and leave. And that could be leave the table or leave the building, depending on factors of time and distance and travel plans. Obviously, if you are going on a cruise, and part of your reason for going on the cruise is to gamble and win another cruise, you're not going to just stop gambling. And if you do, if you have to, let me say it that way. If you go on a cruise, and part of your reason, in addition to enjoying a cruise, which is a wonderful thing to get to enjoy, but if part of your reason for being on the cruise is because of how you gambled, either on land or at sea, and you take a loss and leave the table, you can't leave the building. Please don't jump overboard. You're going to be on the cruise until the cruise is over. If you aren't going to then play again, either that day or the next day, I would suggest your bankroll calculation was done incorrectly. In the end, try to win over the long run. The trip, the cruise, the month, the quarter, the year, that's up to you. That's up to how much you play, where you want to set those parameters. But you're not trying to beat every machine or every day. There's going to be losing days, there's going to be losing tables, there's going to be losing machines. We are playing for the long run. And if you have losses in the long run, make up those losses with comps and gifts from the casino, which you get because you have and use a player's card. So there you have it, the unified theory of being good at and winning the game of casino gambling. With those things in mind, I wanted to focus today on the idea of a wager with the smallest possible house advantage. And I kind of, off the top of my head, ran through some of those variations there. Variations in the game of blackjack. In fact, in some cases, we don't even call it blackjack. It's called Spanish 21. It's a very nuanced version of the game of blackjack, and played correctly, smaller house advantage. So the reason this is on my mind is I recently was in Las Vegas, as you're going to hear about later in this episode in a travel segment. I was recently in Las Vegas, and I was on the Las Vegas Strip, and I was there because that's where I was comped. I didn't go to Vegas by choice, and I didn't go to Vegas on vacation. I went to Vegas for a charity event, which I'm going to tell you about. And because the charity event was in Las Vegas, I had to go to Las Vegas. And I don't really like going to the Las Vegas Strip to gamble. In my never so humble opinion, gambling on the Las Vegas Strip, particularly gambling at the game of blackjack on the Las Vegas Strip, is not ideal. Low stakes, fair rules games are tough to find. And I went to Las Vegas and stayed on the Strip with a purpose and a plan, and it involved more craps and slots and time spent at a charity event than it did time spent playing blackjack. So the first part of my trip, I stayed at the Link Hotel and Casino, smack in the middle of the Strip, smack in the middle of the Caesars portion of the Strip. Any way you move, there's another Caesars property. I didn't think I was going to play a lot of blackjack. I didn't play a lot of blackjack, but I did successfully play the blackjack I played, and here's why. In the high limit room at the Flamingo, right next to the Link, they have generally, when I am there, a pair of $50 tables open. One is 3-2 blackjack, and the standard 3-2 blackjack, all the rules you would want, a very low house advantage, about 0.4, I think, off the top of my head. Let's call it 0.4. And right beside it, they have a $50 free bet blackjack table. Now, the house advantage at free bet blackjack is like 4 times the house advantage of regular 3-2 blackjack, standard blackjack. The house advantage is much higher, and I chose that game instead. And let me show you why. Let me tell you why. And that's really the core of what I wanted to talk about, because the core concepts say play a wager with a very small house advantage. Ideally, the smallest house advantage you can get while still getting tier points. Smallest house advantage you can get is the odds bet at craps, but other than Ellis Island, I'm not aware of any place that gives tier points for that wager because there is no house advantage. Ditto poker, ditto sports betting. Those are no house advantage wagers, and as a result of them being no house advantage wagers, almost no tier points are awarded. So let me tell you about free bet blackjack, and let me tell you why I picked a higher house advantage wager for the same money than I needed to select. Here are the differences for free bet blackjack. In free bet blackjack, unless the player has a blackjack, a natural 10, and ace as their first 2 cards, then if the house has 22, it's not a bust for the house, it's a push. So the dealer draws out 4 or 5 cards, you've got 21, they draw to 22, you're not getting paid. You stand on hard 16 against a dealer's 3, and they draw a 4-card 22. You are not getting paid. It's a push. You're also not losing your money. So that's the first difference. Obviously, that's not in the player's favor. It's very much not in the player's favor to push when the house technically has more than 21. The other change to the game is that if you have a 9, a 10, or an 11 valued hand, a hard total of 9, 10, or 11. Let me say it that way. If you have a hard total of 9, 10, or 11, and you want to double, instead of putting a matching wager beside your original wager, you just kind of bump your hand on the table, bump your fist on the table, and the dealer puts out a gold coin, not real gold. Don't get your hopes up. The dealer puts out a gold coin and hands you your next card. Essentially, the house makes that double wager for you. And if you have any 2 of the same card except 2 10 value cards, you once again go, and once again a disc comes out and your cards are split. The house makes the next wager for you. And it doesn't stop there. Suppose you get a pair of 8s and you go and you split. The house puts out the money for the split. Your next card is a 2. That's a value of 10, a hard 10. Once again. And the house puts out another gold disc. And again, they put out your double money. Now you have one hand and you have an 8 for your second hand. And the next card dealt is an 8. So once again, bump, bump. Gold disc, cards are split, next card is dealt, it's a 10. We're going to move to the next hand, and if once again you get an 8, and there we go, disc, and you get split on the house. The bottom line on this is, if you ended up with the unicorn hand, if you ended up with the hand I've never seen, if you ended up splitting 4 times and doubling 4 times, the house has put up the next 7 wagers. You only have real money of your buy-in on the table for your original wager. And if you've ever had an experience playing TRG4, Win More, Keep More, even if you've had an experience playing TRG1, the one, the only, ironically named the one, the only, even if you've had that experience where you make the 1 unit bet, the 2 unit bet, the 4.5 unit bet, and then you get the 8s. And then you get the 2 and you need to double. And then you get another 8. And the hand where you were like, well, if I lose this, it's no big deal. I'll walk away. I'll be done. Is suddenly the hand that's got you in your pocket, in your wallet, maybe running to the ATM if you didn't calculate your bankroll correctly. And all of a sudden you've got a lot of money on the table. And if it goes well, you're thrilled. And I'm a genius. And if it goes poorly, you're wrecked. And I'm a moron who talked you into it. And that's why I picked free bet blackjack. That's why, in fact, in many ways, free bet blackjack is becoming my game of choice, as long as I can find it with a 3-2 payout. Because my bankroll and my buy-in are protected. When I get the opportunity hands that we're all looking for when playing blackjack, the house puts up the extra money. And yes, I risk getting great hands, 4 great hands with doubles, and the house gets 22, and it's all a push. I do. And the house advantage has increased. I have chosen a game, in the case of the Flamingo setup, where they're side by side, I have chosen the game with a slightly higher house advantage, and I'm making the trade-off. I'm making the decision to apply the core concepts in a way that protects my bankroll and my buy-in, because those ultimately for long-term gambling are the most important thing. We want to protect that. I want to protect that. You may make the other choice. You may say, no, I want the smallest house advantage and I got plenty of money. But for me, on the Las Vegas Strip, without $25 games readily available, this was a good compromise. This was a way to play at the level the house was willing to let me play, because outside the high limit room, there's a whole pit of 6-5 blackjack and 6-5 free bet blackjack. Ugh. All right, absolutely ugh. But if I could play at a slightly higher level, play in high limit, get the 80, and think about this, right? Because we also want the tier credits. We also want the reward credits. We also want to build status. So now, once again, the trade-off. A higher house advantage wager, right? I'm taking the higher house advantage wager, which means for that $50 or that $100 that's wagered, I'm getting more tier points than if I made the exact same wagers the exact same way on the table right beside me. Because the regular blackjack table, the house advantage is lower. Therefore, the tier points are lower. Therefore, the reward points are lower. So I took a wager in which I recognized what factors I was juggling. And that, dear listeners, that, fellow squad members, that is what the core concepts are all about. If you understand these at more than, not less than, T-Rex, maybe you'll fix that one for me. Maybe he won't. It's fine. The purpose of the core concepts is to provide that framework for not only understanding how to win, but evaluating opportunities for playing. I applied the core concepts. I evaluated the math of the house advantage. I evaluated how playing at a slightly higher level than I necessarily would have preferred for this particular trip could get me the most tier points from my play and protect the money I had brought with me for this particular trip. And I stand in awe of my own creation when I sit and look at the core concepts and realize how much they guided my decision-making as part of this trip. And that is certainly what the core concepts were intended to do. And that's why I picked a higher house advantage wager for the other benefits that I could get from it. And the core concepts, spelled with a K, were my guiding principle there. All right, what are we doing next? I just rambled. What are we doing? Hey, we're going to do a travel segment. And I'm going to tell you a whole bunch of things about that trip to Las Vegas, lay some things out in detail, and share some outcomes from playing free bet blackjack with you. A couple of them pretty interesting, and an interesting day in that regard.
This episode is brought to you by eBay. Buying parts for your car? You'll know that will it work feeling. But on eBay, buying parts is different. eBay's free returns means if it doesn't fit, or if it isn't what you expected, you just print a label, drop it off, and get your refund fast. No haggling, no stress, and at least 30 days to return any eligible item. Millions of parts, free returns. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans. Even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes. Now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox. Clean feels good.
So the last time I was in Las Vegas on the Las Vegas Strip was last October, about the same time of year. And as I was leaving, I told Mrs. TRG, the radiant goddess of casino combat, I told her that for the first time ever, I was leaving Las Vegas and I didn't really care if I ever came back. And if I did come back, I really didn't want to be on the Strip. I really wanted to be somewhere else. Maybe go to the Strip for a show, maybe go to the Strip for a show and a meal. But that familiar space that I always loved and that I always left wanting more and wanting to be back. And I'm not a 3-day Las Vegas Strip guy. And there are people that go, I went to Las Vegas and I went for 2 days and boy, it was enough. Oy vey, don't need to do that anymore. 3 days, that's plenty. No, I'm Vegas for a week guy. I'm Las Vegas Strip for a week guy. I'm hang out in the Caesars part of the Strip for 3-4 days and then move down to the MGM part of the Strip for 3-4 days and make a week of it. If I'm going to fly out, I wanted to spend time there, and I just don't like spending time on the Vegas Strip anymore. That's the conclusion I reached last time. That if I went back, my preference would have been to at the time, it was if I go back, I'm going to stay at the D. I'm going to stay at the El Cortez. If I can get comped to Circa, I'm going to stay at Circa. I had enough of this Strip stuff. The blackjack is horrible. The prices are ridiculously out of control. I'm sorry, maybe you don't know Johnny Rockets, but Johnny Rockets is a 50s retro burger and milkshake place. It's always been a pretty reasonable place to eat. Last time we were there, they wanted almost $60 for 2 burgers and an order of fries and a water and a milkshake. Just the prices are out of control. What used to be a way too expensive cocktail at a bar, if you're just going to sit down and have a drink, the cocktails 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago were way too expensive. And by contrast, they're now 50% higher than that. Just everything ridiculously expensive on the Strip. Can't really play blackjack. That's my game of choice. That's the game where I make most of my money. Free bet, $50 free bet blackjack aside, hard to find a game to play. Hard to find a game I can play with my wife at a level she is comfortable with. She would much rather prefer to be a little lower stakes. Just everything about it. Left and said I didn't want to go back. And then I was on a dice cruise and I met a gentleman named John and found out that a gentleman named John is the person who hosts every year Craps for the Cure, a telethon, old school Jerry Lewis telethon style event centered around the game of craps to raise money for charity. And found out when I met him that this year the event was going to be to raise money to train service dogs to do support for veterans with PTSD. And when I heard that was going to be the cause this year, I immediately did 2 things. I immediately said to him, I'd like to be involved in whatever way I can. If there's anything I can do, please say so. Please let me know. And I made a point to think to myself, I'm going to be there. I'm going to go. I'm going to support this really great idea of gamblers using their love of gambling to raise money for a good cause. That was something I said I was going to do. And I lived through the rest of my life. And I did all the things that you've heard about me doing. And I went on a great cruise. You heard about the birthday extravaganza, 12-day adventure. And coming up right after that was going to be Craps for the Cure. And coming up right after that on my personal schedule with a very short turnaround was going to be the next Dice Cruise, which is a 7-8 night cruise. And you got to travel the day before. And those things aren't inexpensive. We try to win the money to cover them, and we haven't been doing that quite as well as I would have liked lately. We've been keeping our costs down, But we've been doing a lot of travel, and I said to Mrs. TRG, I think I need to go out there. I think I need to go be a part of this. You met John. You understand what it's about. And she said, I understand. And so I looked at plane tickets, and I said, the plane tickets will be okay. They won't be too bad. I said, and to my surprise, I can be comped the entire stay. I thought I was going to be jumping around. When I started planning it, I thought I was going to be doing a couple nights here and a couple nights there because to get the cheap plane tickets, if I went out for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the event was Saturday and Sunday. If I went out and stayed Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, traveled in on Friday, traveled out on Monday, the plane tickets were like $1,000. But if I went out Wednesday and came back Monday, the plane tickets went down to like $500. So I felt like save the money there. Now where can I get comped? And to my surprise, the Link Resort and Casino was willing to comp me the entire stay, including Friday night and Saturday night with NASCAR in town and the When We Were Young music event in town. With all of that going on, they were willing to comp me a junior executive suite. And for an extra $5 a night, they were willing to comp me a 1-bedroom, 1.5 bath suite. It's hard to turn that comp down. That's a very, very nice, very, very generous comp. And so I signed up for that. And Mrs. TRG said, am I going with you? And I said, you can come with me. You're welcome to come with me. Love to have you come with me. Please understand the parameters for this trip. I said, I'm squeezing this in between 2 cruises. You're welcome to come along. But this is not our normal trip, honey. This is not our normal trip, sweetheart. This is not a dinner at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant and a Cirque du Soleil show afterwards. This is not a champagne brunch at Alexa at Paris followed by shopping. And not that Mrs. TRG does a whole lot of shopping. I'm not putting that on her. But the point I was making to her...
Added to shopping list. If that wasn't right, just say, Alexa, remove that.
That was funny. I don't know if you heard that or not, but that was funny. There you go. Reality podcasting, folks. My in-studio guest today, Echo by Amazon. Not trying to say she's a big shopper when we're in Vegas, but my point to her was that I was going to be busy all day Saturday and all day Sunday, sitting in essentially what was a TV studio watching a streaming televised event happen and meeting people and shaking hands and kissing babies and trying to promote the podcast, trying to promote myself as a, let's take the label, it's out there. So trying to promote myself as a gambling influencer, trying to meet other gambling influencers, trying to help support this event and advance our podcast and our squad at the same time. And that certainly I would be happy to buy a ticket if she wanted to come sit there in the studios. But if she didn't, understandably, want to spend every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. sitting at an event like that, she was going to be on her own. And that this was not an extravagant trip. We weren't doing shows. We weren't doing big meals. I told her that, quite frankly, for me, this was going to be a get up, eat a donut, because that's the cheapest way to get fed, and then go about my day, and at some point get a hot dog or a slice of pizza to wrap up my day. I was not going to be doing sit-down meals. I was not going to be doing very elaborate meals. Quite frankly, I was going to be on a reduced calorie diet to try to make sure that I did this trip as inexpensively as possible, because the purpose of the trip was to support the event. That's why I was going. She decided under those in that framework that maybe this was better as a solo trip for me, to focus on work, that maybe this was a work trip for me, and she would spend time at home with our newest grandson. And as a bonus, she doesn't always like to go to casinos by herself. As a woman, she feels less than 100% comfortable with that, but she actually went out to the horse track to get a free gift that she wanted that was going to be used as a basket to hold toys for the grandchildren, and in the process, she played a little slots, because why walk in and get the gift and not play any slots? They won't keep giving you gifts. And as she's playing through the process, as she's working through, she's using TRG slot strategy El Numero Dos from the Slot Tactics ebook. And on the very last spin, on the very highest dollar amount, she gets a tremendous jackpot. And when it's all said and done, has her first ever hand pay, which means she had more than the taxable minimum. She won more than $1,200. She had a really nice win, her biggest win ever, her first ever hand pay. So she stayed behind. I traveled as a work trip. I traveled on a budget. I kept things as inexpensive as possible. And that meant a lot of things. That meant no just, oh, what the heck, I'll just grab a cab. I'll just grab an Uber. I'll go downtown and play at Circa. Then I'll take an Uber or a cab back. That's $100. Depending on rounding, depending on tips, depending on traffic, depending on surge levels, that's around $100, usually, give or take. So I wasn't doing that. I wasn't running, I really want to go down to Mandalay Bay because I haven't been there in a while. I'll just jump in a cab and go down to Mandalay Bay. No, this was get from airport to hotel as cheaply as possible, and for the most part, stay there unless I'm traveling to the Craps for the Cure event. So I checked into the link, and I'm going to summarize this a little bit here. I'll move through it as quickly as possible, and at the same time, going to take a minute. So the first night, I'm there right around dinner time. I went and grabbed a slice of pizza from the pizza place in the Link Promenade, played some craps because a low-stakes table was available, lost some money, went over to Flamingo, found that free bet blackjack table that I was telling you about, sat down to play. Things went fairly well, but other players joined me. They weren't fun. They were smoking. It was getting a bit late, at least to my body, because I'd been traveling all day through 3 time zones. So I was up a little bit for the day, and it was time to call it a night and time to go to bed. Next day I got up, went down to Dunkin' Donuts in the Link right at the bottom of the elevator, grabbed 2 donuts. I splurged. I grabbed 2 donuts and spent most of the day working in my suite. Spent most of the day doing the same things I would have done here. I often tell Nakatomi Tony that when I travel, I'm not vacationing, I just live my life other places, and I did. I outlined podcast episodes. Several of the episodes you heard here today and heard in the previous episode were outlined sitting there. I was going to do some recording, had my equipment with me, and actually had some technical difficulties with my equipment and wasn't able to record. So I outlined more. I did work for my IT clients. I was well occupied most of the day, and as I would have if I was at home around mid-afternoon. When at home I would have gone to my local casino. I went down to do some gambling on the Strip, and the plan was to mostly play craps, to make my way down through the Strip from the Link, through all the Caesars properties, down to Planet Hollywood, because I had heard from reliable sources that Planet Hollywood did have 1 or 2 3-2 blackjack games that they were running at a $25 level. And I happen to know that there's a Sbarro pizza at the back in the food court of the Horseshoe. So that's the plan. Make my way down, mostly playing craps, grab a slice of pizza, finish my night at Planet Hollywood, playing blackjack was the assumption, and off I go. Play craps at the Link, get beat up, lose most of my buy-in. Go over to Flamingo thinking, well, the night before I played free bet blackjack and won the money back, so that should be easy enough to do. I did it yesterday, I'll do it today. Nope. $50 a hand blackjack, TRG4, well, my version of TRG4, TRG 4.14159, sweeter than pie, and I get beat up for most of that buy-in. Nothing happening there. So I make my way over to Horseshoe, stopped at Cromwell, played a little craps at Cromwell, got beat up playing a little craps at Cromwell, played some video poker, had some of I'll tell you, when it comes to glassware and beverage pouring, I sat down at the video poker bar to watch some of the Major League Baseball playoffs. I had a team in I didn't have a team, but a team that I follow was in the playoffs and they were on the TV. So I sat down at the video poker bar and ordered a drink, and they poured me a wonderful drink. Strong, elegantly presented in a wonderful glass. And I thought, well, at least, because they're now monitoring video poker at a lot of places in Las Vegas. And I thought, well, maybe even if I don't play enough, at least I got an excellent cocktail. And ended up getting a couple excellent cocktails and lost less than it would have cost by far. I did lose $10, I think. I could look if you really care. But I lost like $10 and had 3 cocktails and went, well, if I was across the street buying those at the lobby bar at Caesar's Palace, I'd have been close to $90 with tip. And here I lost $10 and tipped on 3 beverages. Time well spent. My team won in spectacular fashion. The team I was following won in spectacular fashion. But now I got a dilemma because I've gone from Link to Flamingo, Flamingo to Cromwell, losing at each step, and I'm starting to run out of funds. I'm starting to run out of money. And that's not a big deal. I had money in the cloud safe, the bank account that I keep specifically for withdrawing money when I'm on a gambling trip like this. And I had only walked out of the room with about a third of the money I brought for the trip in cash. I left the rest of the money in the safe in case I should happen to meet up with nefarious characters and have my funds taken from me. Because while you have to carry defense because you always carry cash is one of our casino wisdoms, it is not always possible to carry on airplanes all the defense I would like to carry because I always carry cash. So, dilemma. Do I walk back away from the pizza? And I'm starting to get hungry now. Those 2 donuts in the morning are starting to wear off. Do I walk all the way back to Link and go away from the pizza to get to the safe? Or do I use the Sky? I'm just going to use the Sky Safe. I'm just going to grab some money at the ATM and continue about the process. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Not like I've lost a lot of money. I just only walked out with about a third of what I had with me. And the ATMs are down. Rats. You know what? I'm going to go get pizza, and I'm going to use an ATM at Horseshoe. I'm just going to go do that because it's that time. And the ATMs are down at the Horseshoe. And I have just enough cash for a small craps buy-in and end up playing a really long session and winning back some of what I had lost. And I've now got enough money to keep wandering. And so I grabbed pizza, and I can't find a table worth playing at Paris. There's only one craps table open. It's only open on one half. It's fairly full. A couple people are smoking. It's just not where I want to be. And so on to Planet Hollywood, and I find that they do have 2 tables, 3-2 blackjack, and their continuous shuffle. Again, not my favorite, but I've learned some lessons about playing continuous shuffle when I have to. I make a point of asking the dealer to re-rack the cards the first couple of times, the discard cards to rack them right away, and then she takes that hint and is happy to do that, and I set a timer for 15 minutes on my phone. And that timer for me simulates the end of a shoe. I make a point when the timer goes off to go, oh, hey, I got to take a call, mark my spot, and to step back and fake a call quickly. Hey, I'll call you back later, and reset the timer and look at where I am with my stacks and take that mental break, let the dopamine drop just a little, and it ended up being a hit and run trip. I only got past the first timer, not all the way to the second, and I had a nice.
Shaq here, spinning fast-acting pain relief with Icy Hot. Ice works fast, heat makes it last. Icy Hot, you're so back.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Nice win. I had a nice 8-9 unit win and lost a couple hands and cut that short because I did have now a long walk back. I've got to walk from Planet Hollywood to Paris, all the way through Paris, all the way through the Paris shopping mall, through Horseshoe, up the escalator, across the street, down the escalator, into Cromwell, and as I'm walking into Flamingo, not that far from where I'm going to spend my evening, as I'm walking into Flamingo, I'm going to walk right past that free bet blackjack table. Going to walk right past it in their high limit room. And I kind of count the money, and I've got just enough, not just enough, but only enough really to do the buy-in. And I certainly don't have enough, if it were the regular blackjack table, I don't have enough funds with me to be comfortable playing, because if I did get to that 2 or 3 unit bet and I needed to split and double a bunch of times, and as I'm doing that math all in my head, as I'm running through the core concepts, as I'm calculating my buy-in, because my bankroll is fine. I've got most of my bankroll sitting in the safe, but as I'm calculating that buy-in, it's like, you're going to play free bet anyway. That was your first choice anyway. You already did this math. You don't need those extra funds. If you get to the end of the buy-in and you've got to make that big 2 or 3 unit bet and you've got to split and double multiple times, you're fine. They're going to make those bets for you. So I did. I sat down, I waited for the end of the shoe, I ordered a beverage from the cocktail waitress, and had a great session. And had a couple hands where the house made a second or a third bet for me, and I won those bets. And I wrapped up my evening with another cocktail, and I went back to my room and took inventory, and sure enough, I now had a nice little profit for the day. I was up more than a day's pay for the day because I managed to put together a series of small wins and walk away. I won a little money playing craps. I walked away and I got something to eat. And now I had enough money to do a little small $25 buy-in and be comfortable that if I got to that bet that I had to stretch out to, I was going to be able to stretch out even though the ATMs were down. And that gave me enough money to buy in at a bigger table and then let them put up the funds and finish the day with a profit. I got up the next day and I had been invited by Eric Hazel to come join him and a other set of PCH guests at a private craps table event at Sunset Station. And he was going to be able to comp my room. And I knew that MCRC, MC Rolling Checks, Excelsior Brigade member, had indicated by text message that he was going to be there. And so I had ended my stay at Link a bit early, and I was going to go out because I have never in my life played a private table craps event. I wanted to have that experience. And I know from past experience that when PCH brings together craps players at a private table event, you get some really good craps players and some really, really long rolls, and there is money to be made. And it's fun to hang out with people and make new friends with other gamblers that are good gamblers. So I did a little work. Did a little last-minute gambling in that part of the strip to make sure that my average daily theoretical was okay. And the way I did that was I went down to Harrah's because I hadn't been to Harrah's yet, and none of their blackjack tables were in any way playable. So I played some slots, won a little money, played some more slots, won a little money, walked by their high-limit room. None of the tables were open, but as I was walking by, the dealers were walking in, the cards were being pulled, they were getting ready to open those tables. And there's a really neat little video poker bar right behind the Harrah's High Limit room. Beautiful space, fun place to be, and some more sports on TV. And so I found a spot at the video poker bar, got my comped beverage, played some video poker, won some money, and went back into the High Limit room. And sure enough, they had already opened a $50 free bet blackjack table. And I'm more than happy to settle in now, right? I've gotten comfortable with this. I've gotten comfortable with this play style. I'm liking this, and it hits. 3-4 hands in, I get a pair of 9s, which we split, and the first hand is a 2. And they're paying all these extra wagers. This is a 2-unit wager at a $50 table. And I've got 9s split, so that's 100, and then they add another 100, and then I get a 2, and they add another 100, and then I get a 9, and they add another 100, and then I get a 7. Not crazy about that, but the dealer has a bust card, and then on my next 9, I get another 9, and then I get a 10, so that's 19, and on the last hand, I once again get a 2, that's again a double, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 hands, 2 of them doubled, that is all those extra $100 wagers made on my behalf from the casino, and I get paid on all of it. And the dealer is stunned, and I'm thrilled, and tips are made, and another beverage is ordered, and we play the next hand, and I lose, so the next bet is a 2-unit bet, and this time it is 2s, split 4 times, and doubled once against a dealer's 5. And the dealer breaks once again, and now all the pit bosses both pit bosses and all the dealers are focused on this. And the dealer at the next table says, if you'd have bet the Golden Crown, you'd have just made $5,200 on 3 hands. I don't bet the Golden Crown. The Golden Crown is a horrible house advantage side wager. It's $5 and it gets paid for an increasing amount for every single gold coin that the house has to put out. So in these cases where the house was putting out multiple gold coins, it would have paid a ton of money. I wasn't mad. I wasn't mad at all. I had just made a ton of money. And the waitress brought me another beverage, and I played another hand mostly so I could tip, played it at table minimum, played it with a nice tip, lost, colored up, and left, and headed out to Sunset Station with plenty of money to play with, well positioned to finish up the rest of my stay. Wonderful opportunity. So I go out to Sunset Station, obviously had to pay an Uber, part of the cost of getting to play in this game. But the great part was because the Las Vegas Strip was so torn up to prepare for Formula One, because I then took the Uber out to Sunset Station, the rest of my Ubers back and forth to the event, to the actual Craps for the Cure telethon event, those Ubers were much less expensive than they would have been to and from the link. So actually, by going out to Sunset Station, I saved some money. I did leave that wonderful 1-bedroom, 1.5 bath suite behind, but I don't regret that. I really appreciate getting off the Strip, meeting Eric, seeing a new property. Sunset Station was wonderful. Old school Vegas Strip property. Wonderful. I loved it. The rooms reminded me a lot of the rooms at Casino One, which I frequent often. You know, a lot of wood, a lot of chrome, a lot of fluffy pillows on the couch in the seating area. Everything I could have wanted in a room. Had a refrigerator, had all the amenities. The bathroom was great. The casino was really cool. It's got this stained glass ceiling set up so it kind of looks like a grotto, if you will. That's the word that came to mind. With stained glass that looks like sunsets, all these different sunsets all around above all the different pits. Really cool. As I'm walking around, just trying to get my bearings, trying to see the casino for the first time, and I hear somebody go, TRG, TRG. Is that you? And I turn around and there's MC Rolling Checks. He's actually at the private craps table. And so I joined him and played some craps and talked with him a bit and lost a little money and said, hey, I'm sure I'll see you later, but I haven't seen the rest of the casino. I really need to get some food. I haven't eaten in quite a while. So I'm going to go see the rest of the casino and I'll catch up with you later. Eric was not at the table. I didn't recognize any other PCH player. There were other PCH players at the table. They just weren't people I recognized as people I knew to be good shooters. So I went, got some food, and as I'm getting some food, I find a kiosk, right? So I swipe my new player's card that I'd just gotten. They didn't do any tier matching, so I'm at the lowest tier, and I swipe my card. Obviously, I'm not going to have any promotions, but I swipe my card, and I see that in that one session, that one crap session, I'd already gotten to tier 2 in their reward system. Great! I always love getting a better card. So I backtrack a little bit to the reward desk to get my new card, and they have a sign up at the reward desk saying that today, the day that I'm there is a promotion, and if you are invited, you get this really cool quilted gray half zip jacket, and has the Knights logo, the logo of the local professional hockey team, the Las Vegas Knights, has that logo on it, and on the cuff, it's embroidered Station Casinos. And I'm like, well, that's cool. That's a cool jacket that I would like to have. That's a cool jacket that I would wear and take with me on casino trips, to have that kind of lightweight in case it's cold in the casino jacket. And it says earn 300 points. I already earned 300 points. I wasn't invited, but if you earn 300 points, you get the jacket. So after having eaten and having sorted this out, I start finding my way around. I'm following the signs that tell me where to go to get this. And I walk by a Sword of Destiny slot machine. And you probably don't remember, but we found Sword of Destiny about a year ago at the Caesar's Palace Casino on the Strip. And it has a real neat structure to it that we find to be pretty consistently beatable. And I'm going to tell you about that in just a minute. So I find my way around and I stand in line and I walk up and I hand her my card and my ID and she says, what size? And I tell her I need an XL and she swipes my card and she says, you weren't invited. And I say, I know I wasn't invited. I actually have never been here before, but I earned like 1,000 points, more than 1,000 points already. I already upgraded one tier and the sign said you need 300. And she says, you do, but you didn't play slots. I said, no, I earned my points playing craps. And she goes, but you have to earn them as slot play. I said, really? Like playing craps wasn't good enough? I've got to actually get 300 playing slots? And she says, yes, you do. Okay, live and learn. Well, now there's a problem because I really want this jacket. I do. I really want this jacket. And when there is a problem, our casino wisdom teaches us to look for a casino solution. And that's when I remembered Sword of Destiny. And I remembered how often we had beaten Sword of Destiny, but I didn't really remember how. And so I'm walking away and this is dumb. Let's be clear. This is dumb. And this is not, I have no excuse by saying I was under the influence of alcohol or anything like that. I wasn't. I was completely sober, unintoxicated, no excuse. This was dumb, but I was angry. Not high-level angry, but low-level angry. There was a casino problem. I was not happy with the outcome. I was looking for a casino solution. I had all the money I had just wanted Harrah's in my pocket. And I'm like, I'm going to start up at Sword of Destiny. I'm going to show these guys they can't tell me I didn't get enough points to get this jacket. I'm going to stop at Sword of Destiny. Now, the way Sword of Destiny is set up is you start off with just a few rows of symbols. And there is a track along the left side of the symbols that are not part of the field of play, and it has various bonuses. A wild column, a wild symbol, a multiplier, give you more rows. So as symbols are coming down, you'll sometimes get another row of play and another row of play. And that means you get more and more of these bonuses on the side. And every 10 spins, you collect all the bonuses from the side on a bonus spin. And the way we found that we could beat it is 10 spins at the smallest bet. If after the 10th spin, you have a 10% win for the $100 you put in the machine, you're done. Walk away. If not, play the next highest bet amount until you've done 10 spins and you collect all those bonuses. And now if you have more than 10%, you're done. Walk away. And just keep repeating. And we found that in almost every situation, the last time we did it, we played like 20 times over the course of our stay at Caesar's Palace, just walking by on our way to a show or way to a meal or something like that. And we went like 20 tries before we finally took a loss. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And fed in $100, like second or third level of betting. I have 110. Cash out. Look at my points. I've gotten 45 points. Okay, I got a profit and I got 45 points. We're going to get that jacket. Another 100. Same process. Now I got a nice profit on that one. I got like $75 on that one. Just kept going. Just kept checking my points. $100, check my points. $100, check my points. $100, check my points. I did take one loss. I did get all the way to the end on the 6th one and take a loss, but that also gave me more points. And so I finished up with a profit of about $145 and more than 300 points. I had found a casino solution through my knowledge of this particular machine. And I went and got my jacket and took it up to my room and went and spent some time on the private craps table. And I just didn't know how to bet it. And this may be duplicated in the big surprise that I'm going to tell you about. Stick around for the virtual VIP lounge. Stick around for the surprise. This may be duplicate content from the big surprise, but I'm going to share this anyway. I lost money playing craps the first night. And I lost money playing craps the first night because I was trying to figure out how to bet players that are good. I don't play with players that are good very often. At my local casino, I play with players who are bad. And so I'm trying to get some small profit before the 6th or 7th roll because they're going to be out. I'm protecting myself against a 0.7 out, a PSO, but I'm trying to just get some profit, $6, $8, $15, and then if the roll goes a little longer, I'll press things up, but I'm just trying to get some money before roll 6, 7, 8, because that's probably all the roll's going to go. And so I tend to bet very conservatively, tend to get my money off, and then make very conservative presses because I don't want to press away my wins. And I did not do well. When people did well, I didn't make much money because I wasn't being aggressive. And when the few people who weren't good shooters went out, I lost money. So I did finish that first day having lost money. And the next day I went out to the event. And in the lead up to the event, Nakatomi Tony had said to me, hey, I think we should raise money as a group and make a group donation. And when Nakatomi leads, I try to follow. And I said to him, okay, well, but Tony, NT, how are we going to collect this money? We got like a week. How are we going to collect this money? And he goes, I don't know. That's your job. I just think it's a good idea. So before I headed out, I had very quickly, and I put it out on social media, and I put out a little commercial blast, and we're trying to get some things together to notify more of you more quickly going forward. But I put together a GoFundMe very, very quickly. You folks that donated were super generous with your donations. So I walk into the event, and I've got almost $600 that everyone kindly donated that I need to transfer over to the event. So hanging around, watched some interesting presentations, some Craps legends were there. I'm meeting people. I'm seeing how other people do content. I'm seeing the gear they bring with them to film content on site. Happy to be part of the event. Happy to be there. Happy to be meeting people. And as I get a chance, as someone else is on camera, I kind of saw John in the conversation. I caught his eye and just kind of waved and said, when you have a minute. And he said, yeah. And so he called up with me 30, 40 minutes later and he said, hey, what's up? And I said, oh, hey, looks good to see you again. My podcast group, my squad, wanted to do a group donation and we put it together and I just need to know who to transfer it to and how to transfer it. I said, I don't want that money coming into my bank account. I don't want to have to explain to someone in the IRS where the money came from or why. I don't want to transfer it into my bank account. I don't want any question that it just went from my listeners directly to the charity. And he said, okay, well, you're going to need to get with Lori and talk to her. She's the representative of the charity. He was the same way. He's like, I'm a craps player. I don't want that money anywhere near me. And I said, okay, I get it. He goes, but we're getting ready to do this and this. And then at the end of that, do you want to do this Jerry Lewis style? Do you want to drop in and tell us about the donation and tell us a little bit about the podcast? And so I got to do that. And that's a big thank you to everyone who donated. The generosity of the squad got our squad represented on the stream. And that just should mean more people coming to hang out with us and teach us what they know and be part of their squad and be part of our process of all of us learning. So I made that donation on behalf of the squad and enjoyed the event, learned a lot of different things about craps, about being a content creator, about being an influencer from people who are much better at it than I am. And then went back and joined the private craps table event and had a better approach to my wagering, had a better solution there, and was in on some big rolls and ended up doing just fine and making back most of what I had lost, which is all just money that had been won. I wasn't in any way concerned about that. I was concerned about meeting these people, being part of things with them. Craps for the Cure the next day, once again. And by the time I got back on Sunday, the private table was closed. A lot of people had already headed out. A lot of people were doing other things. It was a great experience. I did a little light gambling, played a little craps on my own. My tosses were not very good. Played a little blackjack, had a small win, took a buy-in loss. Was really just trying to make sure that I had done what I wanted to do. I'd come out. I had a great run on the strip. I'd represented the squad. I'd met people. I'd learned things. I'd learned things about the game of craps. I had the bonus of getting to play on a private craps game, see what playing at a private table was like. I'd learned things about how to wager differently with good players than I normally bet with bad players, and I was ready to wrap it up and head home. When I finished up, I had not quite covered the expenses of the trip. I had a profit, but I had not quite covered the expenses of the trip. Some of my wins, some of my good wins had been wins to catch up. And then I'd lost some of the one win back. I had a profit. Hadn't covered the plane tickets and all the Ubers. Had covered most of the Ubers, some of the plane tickets. But the added bonus was Mrs. TRG had that big hand pay that I told you about. And since she had that big hand pay, as a team, as a we, not a me, we had a profit for the week. We had a profit for the time I was gone. We finished the month with a profit after expenses. We certainly won money playing slots. That wasn't a problem. We had a nice slot win in cash from TRG Slot Strategy El Numero Dos. We had the wins from all the free slot play. We covered our expenses. We had a nice win. I'll be honest, I saved the spreadsheet and didn't print the spreadsheet. We're just going to let that one go right there. Up next, we have a very interesting, very cool virtual VIP lounge. It looks like this episode is going to go long, everybody, and I am sorry about that, but it's all been good content, I think. So, Sips and Stories next. Let's go.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Welcome to the most must-listen-to segment in casino lifestyle podcasting, the virtual VIP lounge, and our lounge is open, and we have the best virtual everything virtually all the time. Best virtual food and drink served in any virtual VIP lounge anywhere on the interwebs, guaranteed, or your money back. As always, if you can, press pause, pour yourself something, fix a plate in the real life, have a beverage with me. It is one of my favorite things to do, is to sit in a well-appointed VIP lounge with friends, with new friends, and have a beverage and have some food and talk about our experiences living a casino-enhanced lifestyle. We all have stories. We all have interesting people that we've met, or famous people that we've met, or great things that have happened, or bad things that have happened, or interesting comps we've received. And that is one of my favorite things to do in a VIP lounge in the real world. And we have a very special, very interesting guest with us in the virtual VIP lounge today. Certainly someone that falls in the category of someone I just met, a friend that I'm just starting to make, or a friendship that we're just starting to build is maybe a better way to say that. I have Eric Hazel with me here of Premier Casino Hosting, and he and I chatted a bit recently, took the time to record things. He took time out of his very busy schedule, business owner, casino host, expert gambler, and took time out of his life. Oh, an owner of an immensely large dog, by the way. But we took time to have a conversation, have a chat, talk a little bit about the casino and the resort that we're going to use for the event at the end of February for the Fasnacht Day Mardi Gras celebration event. And he shared a little of his wisdom, his knowledge, some information about the casino, the craps table, and then I ran some situations by him to talk about various kinds of players. I picked some of you out of the squad and used your unique play situations as examples to kind of understand how the process of coming to the event, what comps might look like, what rewards might look like, those types of things. And so, without further ado, here's my conversation with Eric Hazel of Premier Casino Hosting. All right, well, we got a big treat, everybody. We have Eric Hazel from Premier Casino Hosting with us today. And we've had your partners on before, but remind everybody what Premier Casino Hosting is and what you guys do.
We are independent executive casino host. With independent meaning we don't work for a specific property. We can work, like we work in multiple states with probably 200 different casinos. So we can, take care of you at one casino based on your play from another casino, or get you comped cruises, in the Caribbean based on your play at, Red Rock in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
So it allows us to present your play from one brand to another brand,
which isn't exactly easy to do if you're just a normal player.
You can't do it if you're a normal player. It takes an independent host.
Right.
It takes an independent host.
Well, it's kind of funny how things came up because I have a really unique last name, and you jokingly asked me to change it, and I explained to you that my last name is actually the Swiss German version of Mardi Gras. And
yes.
it's still celebrated around the world today. It's celebrated in the United States. And you said, well, we should do an event. And I said,
yes.
Absolutely, we should do an event. And so we're going to do an event starting that last, the 28th of February, coming up next year, and then into the Saturday, Sunday. And so tell us a little bit about the property that we're going to do that at.
All right. So the property that we're going to do that at is a station casino. I will try to give you the list of casinos that they have in Vegas here. Red Rock, beautiful casino if you've never been there. Green Valley Ranch, which is my home away from home. If I'm in Vegas, that's probably where I'm at. Durango Resorts, which is new last year. Also a phenomenal casino. There is Boulder Station, there is Sunset Station, Santa Fe Station, and I think I'm forgetting one.
Palace
Station. There you go.
All right.
Yes. Yes. So this event that's coming up will be at Sunset Station. Now I'm a craps player. I have a poker player background, but I'm reformed into a craps player. I have a lot of clients that are craps players. And Sunset Station managed to drag this table out of the closet that is a 12-foot crapless table that is as hard as a pool table. Like, it is by far the best table I've ever played on. And for the dice controllers out there, this is a dream table. It really is. I actually had complaints that the table was too hard. The dice are not, they're not bouncing off the table. The casino itself is, plenty of restaurants. They just opened a Yard House, which is one of my favorite restaurants in Vegas. They have an oyster bar it's a full service restaurant. It is not just oysters. That has quickly become one of my favorite restaurants in Vegas, and I'm not real big on the oysters.
Okay.
Of course, they have a steakhouse. I can't remember what it's called there at that property.
I don't remember either. I'm sorry.
It might be. Is it Charcoal? No, it's not Charcoal. It doesn't matter. Right. All of the station steakhouses have the same chef.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
It's fairly, for a casino in Vegas, it is fairly inexpensive, so it's easier for me to get more comp for the players.
Right, that makes sense.
So like if you're staying in a suite on the Strip, and that suite's $800 a night, I mean, you really gotta play, to get that suite covered. But at a place like this, even like my medium level players can pretty easily get suites comped.
Okay, and I want to talk about some of those parameters. I want to set realistic expectations for people, but I gotta ask you one question that I get asked every time I talk about my private table experience with you.
Okay.
Why crapless? Why is that your preferred? Because I educate people why you guys prefer crapless over regular craps.
All right. First of all, we are a group of dice controllers. We don't have a lot of what we call random shooters, and we'll take random shooters at the table, right? I've seen random shooters have rolls, 60, 70 rolls. Right. It happens. But the crapless, unless you're playing the don't, plays exactly the same as a regular craps table, unless you're a don't player. Typically, dice controllers are not playing the don't. You know, we're not trying to throw sevens. We're trying to hold those dice for as long as we possibly can. You have a 2 and 12 that pays 6-1. 3 and 11 pay 3-1. And that's on a place bet. Those are really, really good odds. Really good odds. I mean, it pays well. And that table, that's the best table I've ever played on, happens to be crapless.
Well, and I've been fortunate through the dice cruises to be introduced to what people who are good at what they do can do in that environment. And I was thrilled to get to play with the people that you brought out to Sunset Station, and was happy to just find a corner they didn't want to be in and sit under that learning tree and watch really good people do really amazing things with dice. It was a wonderful educational experience.
That's
No
it.
question.
We're turning you into a shooter.
You know, I am good enough at this point to fool the civilians. I know that I'm just fooling the civilians.
Right.
But between the boots and a little bit of bling, they assume that I know what I'm doing, and sometimes I do. A couple days ago, nobody at the table but me could shoot, and I threw a 3-point fire and repeated 2 of the points twice. And the dice went all the way around with 0.7 outs, and the last 2 guys passed, and I did different numbers, but I threw another 3-point fire and again repeated 2.
Beautiful.
So I can, from time to time, I've been fortunate to sit under the PCH learning tree,
right?
To learn. It's accelerated my growth as a craps player. Blackjack's still my bread and butter, but
yes.
I've grown to love the game, and I've learned a lot from the whole PCH family that's made me better faster. And I know we've got listeners that are craps players that is their main game, and they're looking forward to seeing this table.
Yes.
They really are.
So, Michael and Don and myself were all instructors for Golden Touch Craps. So our following is a lot of craps players. And this is very interesting for me. Like, I'm really excited about this group because I know that I'm going to get players that are blackjack players. I know that I'm going to get slot players. I know that I'm going to get roulette players. And I mean, this is awesome. I've always had to limit my groups to how many people would fit on a craps table.
Well, we're gonna spread out a little bit and use some other parts of the casino.
Right, exactly. I'm excited about it.
Yep. So what I thought we would do is I made some notes on a couple different scenarios, and I'll be honest, what I did was I took listeners that I know about and know kind of how they play. And I wanted to give them a sense of, we've got people that have good ADTs and play at the places that you can pull points from and really look at. And we've got, and they're black chip players. And we got other places that play in the middle of Colorado at an indigenous tribe casino, and they're $5 and $10 players. So we got listeners kind of all the way across the board. So I just thought maybe we'd run through a few of these scenarios and give people a sense of what's a realistic expectation. And I know that's going to vary from almost whatever they want to casino rate. And so I just thought we'd kind of talk through those a little bit. And so the first one I wanted to make a note of is, suppose somebody is a person that goes to Vegas a few times a year. They're an established player with the station brand, maybe not with Sunset Station. They're somebody that plays black chips on a pretty regular basis. They're already capable of going online and being comped at Sunset, having never been there.
Yeah.
What are we trying to tell that player?
No,
don't come.
No, do not book it yourself. And I'm going to, and this is not station specific, okay? This is casino specific. If you go onto the site and you book yourself a room under an offer or whatever, I have absolutely no leverage to help you. None. If I book you, I have leverage.
Got it.
So at the end of your stay, after you've booked yourself, and you have $800 in room charges because you won $10,000 and then took 15 people to T-Bone Steakhouse, right?
Right.
And you room charged it. If you booked yourself, you're paying it.
Got it.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at your play at the end of the stay, and I'm going to comp everything that I can. And you don't have the ability to do that if you book yourself.
Got it.
Or God forbid that you have an issue. You're going to go through 15 people, to try to get that issue straightened out. If I booked you, you just call me and I straighten out the issue. If I did not book you for that stay, I can't even access the reservation. Now, if the player does not pay me,
right.
That's not how I make a living. The casino pays me, and they're not going to let me do anything for a client that I didn't book. They know they already got you.
Let me jump off on this because I think I know this answer for something I saw in a text message, and it wasn't one of the things I was going to ask, but I'm not trying to play gotcha. You mentioned Durango. So suppose I come out for this group event at the end of February, and I've heard about Durango, and I decide I'm just going to go over to Durango.
Yep.
Are you automatically my host at Durango?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought I knew. What would be the proper way for me to do that?
Hey, Eric, I'm going to Durango.
Okay.
And then that allows me to book you as a walk-in at Durango, and then I'm your host at Durango.
Got it.
So if you go over to Durango by yourself and you just go in there and play, the casino is never going to allow me to host you at Durango because they know that they don't need me to bring you there.
Got it.
So you just kind of kicked yourself out of having a host. And Caesars is different in that aspect. Okay.
Okay.
So if I still have to book you at every property that you're going to go play at as a walk-in, but I'm not going to lose the opportunity to host you if you're at Harrah's and you go over to the Link. Okay. But it's I still need to know that you're going to go over to the Link, to book you as a walk-in. And that, ensures that I'm going to be your host at the Link.
Okay.
So, but, station is different in that aspect where every property is individual. They will look at your play from, say, Palace Station to comp you at, say, Sunset Station.
Right.
But as far as hosting is concerned, they're all individual properties.
All right. So for everybody listening, this is the tremendous value that we get from PCH and we get from them being willing to come on and have these conversations, because there's a whole bunch of people out there that don't know these things. If you've just listened to this, you're more educated than a lot of other players out there. And I do appreciate that value, Eric. I really do. Let's jump back. So let's take that same blackjack player. They've never been to Palace Station. They go a couple times a year. They play black chips. Sometimes they go to Vegas. Sometimes maybe go to Atlantic City, but they're just a Caesars customer.
Sure.
And how are you going to help them?
I can book them anywhere.
Okay.
Any Caesars property in the country.
And can you use that play to decide what to comp them the first time at Sunset Station?
I can present that play to Sunset Station.
Got it. Okay, I get the nuance there. Yep, a little education for everybody on that one.
So, Station has been pretty good to us. And, if they have a brand new player, new to their brand, they'll let me comp a couple nights up front.
Okay.
But if you are not playing in a way that's going to cover that room, they're going to let me know. And then I'm going to have to come, tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, look, man, like,
right.
The worst that can happen is you're going to have to pay for the the rest of your stay. What's comp is comp. But it's not like they're not going to throw you out of the casino or nothing, of course.
Right. All right. So let's take a player that maybe plays $10 or $15 a hand blackjack at an indigenous tribe.
Okay.
So that's what, maybe casino rate. We'll see what the back end looks like, or what do we do?
And that's the thing, is we can always comp on the back end. Okay. So at a property like Caesars, that's exactly what it's going to be. It's probably going to be casino rate, and we can pick it up on the back end based on your play. At a property, at a station property, I can probably do a couple nights up front, and then we're going to take a look at the play and go from there.
Excellent. That actually sounds really good. So let's take, my buddy Gabriel. Listeners are familiar with Gabriel. My buddy Gabriel. He plays 5 days a week. Craps, green chips, low end average $75 a hand, and up. And he's 3, 4, 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
The place he plays is a reward system of one property.
Yeah.
And I happen to know you don't have a contract with them.
Right.
So you don't have access. I mean, I'm telling you word of mouth, and he can tell you word of mouth. What are our options for him?
Which property?
I'd have to tell you that offline, but I know you don't have a contract.
No, I meant which property am I hosting him at? Because
it's Sunset Station to come out for this event.
Yeah, I mean, I can absolutely, we'll do a couple nights up front. Like, let's say that he wanted to do, 4 nights at Sunset Station. Do the first 2 nights comp up front, and at that point we take a look at the play that he's put up.
Excellent.
Right. I mean,
go ahead.
It's relatively inexpensive rooms at Sunset Station. It's very nice. I'm going to tell you that I believe that it's Station Casino's hidden gem.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I mean, I've only been there once, and was there for a weekend, but completely happy with everything about it.
Yeah,
completely happy with everything
good.
about it.
The casino is nice. It's not like it's missing anything. It's in a nice neighborhood. The rooms are clean. I mean, I can't say enough good about it. I really like the place.
Yep. Old school Vegas. Really what the Strip used to be. If you like the Strip,
yes.
20 years ago, you're going to feel right at home.
So if you, people that don't know Vegas, so they have this assumption of what the service would be like, and they're wrong.
Yeah. No, I had,
but you get that service that people assume Vegas is at a property like Sunset Station.
Yeah, I went to breakfast in their 24-hour cafe, and when they brought the food out, I was like, wow, this is what the coffee shop at Flamingo for breakfast used to be like.
Yes.
In terms of the speed of service, in terms of the size of the portion, in terms of the wait staff acting like you really mattered, not like you were bothering them.
Right.
It was absolutely wonderful. For somebody like me that remembers when it was always that way, you're 100% right. If someone is just saying up front, I'm a big listener to the podcast, I want to be there, I want to meet the other people involved, I want to come hang out, I'm not expecting to get comped, I know my play isn't going to rise to that level, I just want to pay my own way. Is that cool? Is that cool?
Yeah, and then we can, then at the end of the stay, we look at their play and comp it on the back end.
Perfect. All right. Excellent. I think that's incredibly helpful to people. As much as we've got people that are used to doing this kind of stuff, we've got people that are looking to maybe say this is going to be their first experience beyond just the casino they go to a couple times a week. And so I think this is going to be really helpful to show them kind of what to expect, what things are like, what it's like to work for you. Anything I missed? Anything you want to say that I didn't ask?
Yes, there's something that you missed, and I have to say this. The group is fun. It is. The group is fun. Like, if I called my buddy Kirk and I said, hey, man, you want to go to Vegas next weekend? He'd probably say, man, I got to rake leaves or, or whatever. Right. Yep. But if I called Kirk and I said, hey, Kirk, you want to go to Vegas this weekend? He's going to say, who's going? And I'm going to name off a group of people and he'll say, yeah, let's go.
Right.
Like the group atmosphere is fun. Everybody's on the same team. You don't ever have to look for somebody to hang out with. You're never going to eat breakfast by yourself. I mean, you can if you want to, but people become very fast friends. I mean, this is something that everybody has in common,
Well, you're absolutely right that I missed that. It is one of the things that I have come to really enjoy about getting to go to PCH things. It is a reason why if I see an opportunity, I'm going to pay somebody to rake leaves so I don't have to, so I can go do things with this group. It absolutely 100% you are true. Casinos are fun.
Yes.
Casinoing with a group of people is a whole lot more fun on top of it. You're absolutely 100% correct. Okay, so if listeners want to get a hold of you, if listeners want to see about coming out to this event, how do you want them to get a hold of you?
The easiest way is to shoot me a text.
Okay.
And the reason is once they text me, I have it documented. Any information that I ask for, I have it documented. I can instantly program them into my phone. You can also do email, which is like pchreservations.com.
Okay.
Or maybe it's pchreservations@gmail. Isn't that funny?
Folks, if you need that email, I know I have it. You can email me, trg@casinocombat.com, spell combat with a K. I will find that for you. I do have it in my system. We'll make sure that happens. But what's that number if they're going to text you, Eric? What's that number?
It is 989-277-3124.
All right, 989-277-3124. If you want to come with us, if you want to come hang out at Sunset Station, if you want to celebrate Swiss German Mardi Gras, come out. It'll be a great time. Eric, thank you for taking the time. I know that you struggled through some back issues today. I appreciate you healing up and taking time to do this. It's been a lot of fun to have you.
Absolutely, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Once again, a big thank you to Eric. A big thank you for his time. I hope that was helpful. As I said earlier, you're welcome to contact Eric if you prefer. He is certainly the expert, more so than myself. If you do, please tell him you're part of the Casino Combat Squad, and that's why you're getting in touch with him, so that he knows that you're coming to Premier Casino Hosting by way of this podcast. Let him know that. If you're willing, if you would like, if you would prefer, I would love to be your casino host for this trip if you're already not already working with Premier Casino Hosting. I want you working with Premier Casino Hosting, and I would love to be your host for this and future trips. You are welcome to email me, trg@casinocombat.com, spell combat with a K. You know how to do that. You know how to go about that. Email me. I will immediately make sure you have my personal cell phone number so that you can text me, call me, whatever you need to do, whenever you need to do it. I'll get some information from you, and we will start the process of getting you all set up to come out and enjoy this event. And as we heard earlier, if you can't make this event, but you'd like to go on a cruise, you'd like to go to New Orleans, you'd like to go to Kansas City, you'd like to go to Atlantic City, you'd like to go to Las Vegas, I'll be happy to set all that up for you as well. I promised you a surprise. I promised you a big surprise. And let me deliver on that promise. Let me make sure that I keep the promise that I made to you. I do have a big surprise, because 2 days after I publish this episode, I am going to publish another episode, an entire hour-plus VIP lounge episode. The entire episode, other than a little bit of intro and other than a little bit of Casino Combat Blues at the end, the entire episode is a virtual VIP lounge segment. It will be released as episode 145. You see, we did a Zoom call debrief after the Craps for the Cure trip that I told you about. members of the Inner Circle, members of the Excelsior Brigade that were available on that particular evening, all got together and they asked me their questions about the Las Vegas Craps for the Cure trip, about the casino and the private craps table game, and all of those things that were involved in this very great trip, great experience that I got to have. And they asked their questions, and I assume that their questions will be your questions. And it was very much as if I had gone on this trip, I came back, I went to a casino, all my friends were there, some of our squad mates were there. In an ideal world, we'd all be there, but that's not likely to happen, that we get all the members of the squad together. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? But it's as if I came back, went to a casino, went to a lounge, my friends were there, and they started asking questions about the trip. And so that was the format for the evening, and I'm going to release that in just 2 days' time as episode 145. And as I said, the entire thing will be a virtual VIP lounge segment and only a virtual VIP lounge segment. But all the squad mates you've come to know and love. I assume you love all your squad mates. Who knows? Maybe some of you are frenemies. I don't know, obviously. But a lot of the names you hear on this podcast were there, and they're going to be there asking the questions. Please tip your waitresses, tip your bartenders, tip your dealers. If you have a host, tip your host. Don't tip away your wins. If you do not have a host, I would like to be your casino host. No tips required. I have spoken. Everything you heard here is true from a certain point of view. In 10 years, we may find out I was wrong about all of this. It's time for leaving, and I hope you understand I was born a rambling man. Love it, hate it, it don't matter. Please share with your family and friends. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you, as always, for the gift of your time. Stick around. The best part of the podcast is next.
For Atlantic City Empress, Casino Combat's ace. There are profits in the casino tonight, I can feel it in my bones. I had a premonition, you should probably play alone. I know the house has an advantage, but that's part of the thrill. If we follow the core concepts, the chips begin to spill. So baby, here's your player's card, put your bankroll in your hand. Use just some of that money now, do it just the way we planned. Just follow the core concepts and you could win several grand. Well, it's good if it goes down like that, don't have to play to lose. It's gambling as a business, the Casino Combat Blues. Casino Combat Blues. The dealers and the pit bosses, the security and the law, the winning and the losing and the tricks nobody saw. No matter if it's blackjack, roulette or craps, you gotta carry defense cause you always carry cash. There's lots of shady characters, lots of dirty deals. Everybody has an alias cause that's more fun we feel. It's the lure of winning money, it's got a very strong appeal.